online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
You need a lighter in your hand.
Right. Create some real fire. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it is the one and only Hell's Kitchen After Show. As always, we are here dishing out all the latest on the episodes because it's so hot and it's so full of fire. Hence the song. I'm your host, Lem Gonsalves. A little delirious today, but it's all good. We're going to get through it because that's how we go. You can find me all day on social media at The Poet Saint. We have none other than Miss Getting Crushes All Over YouTube. Miss Briana Phipps, what's up, girl?
Hey, guys. You can reach me at bphipps14. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Lem.
Oh, you know, I'm just keeping it real. Just keeping it real. Always holding it down like a bookend on the other side of the room. Mr. Frank Moran, what's up, man?
Not much, guys. You can follow me on Twitter at HappyGoJackie.
Yes. So, it is another raucous, wonderful episode of Hell's Kitchen. Of course, I like what they do is, you know, they always leave you hanging. You know, he has the eliminations, and then people go back, usually pissed, you know, because they were put up and they didn't deserve it or whatever. And then when the episode starts, it always starts as the continuation. You get right after, you know, them getting back into the dorms. And so this case, Jackie and Ashley were going at it because from the last elimination. And Jackie, okay, I get it. You know, she's full of drama. I understand, you know, regarding the show, we like to see that as viewers, but I'm really getting sick of her. Like, she's getting on my nerves. She thinks, you know, she knows everything, and this episode was no different, in which, you know, people were trying to help her, and I don't need your help, and all of this kind of stuff.
She just doesn't listen.
She doesn't listen at all. She's very bullheaded. And I mean, at first I thought it was like, oh, you know, she's funny and, you know, this and the other, but really it's starting to affect their team. You know, I mean, from the challenge that they had to dinner service, I mean, it's just really been a bad situation. And then it's funny how she tries to turn the tables, like, and we'll get into it, but when she starts talking about Ariel, because Ariel was, you know, given the task by Chef Ramsay, not by herself, to, you know, interview everyone and kind of decide who's going to go up for elimination. And she was upset, you know, and trying to say like, oh, she thinks she's got power and things and this and that. But really, she's terrible. I mean, you know, when you look at, you know, consistently, you know, people have mistakes here and there, things of that nature. But I feel like and could be editing, but I really doubt it in this case, that every single week she is, you know, not doing well.
No, and just always on the attack. Always on the attack, not able to take criticism. And it's one thing if you're able to just, you know, be self-deprecating or the occasional flare-up, but boy, she just will just attack everybody else and feels like there's nothing that she can't do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which I think... I think in a situation like this, yes, you have to assert yourself as a leader. You have to do your best. But at the same token, I think it's still good to be able to, you know, roll with your team and get help and when you need it, because that shows team dynamic and good team camaraderie.
Well, there's a difference between leadership and just doing things on your own and not having any care about anyone else.
Very true.
On your team. And that's what I feel like she has. She just wants to do everything herself, and it's her way or no way.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, there was that whole thing, I know it's later on in the episode, but with like the Beurre Blanc, where she's just like telling Ariel, oh yeah, no, it's just one cup. You can't eye it. Like, I don't go by measurements, but like, that's fine. Like when you cook for yourself.
Sure.
But Ariel's right. In a kitchen, you have to have recipes.
Exactly. That's what the recipe is for. So I will say though, this has been one of my favorite first time challenges is that they have, you know, when they first start the episode. I thought it was dope. They actually go out to a store and he tells them, and this was kind of reminiscent of, for me, you know, I watch Top Chef. I'm a big fan of that show as well. And so they're kind of sitting at the store, and they're like, okay, you have, you know, all this time you're going to be able to cook your own ingredients and stuff. They're like, yeah, you know, I'm going to the store and I'm going to get all these ingredients. And he's, of course, you know, tells Kitchen.
It's never that easy.
Never that easy. So they actually have all these carts come out. And in the carts, you have letters that are attached to it. And what they have to do is they actually have to spell out the ingredients that they want to use.
And I also love, too, that as they're setting that all up, you just look back behind them, you see all the cars going really slow.
Right.
Just watching everything going on.
Of course, because I'm sure it looks crazy.
Yeah.
You have all these cars are like, what's going on? I feel like that was, I want to say, it looked like it was Sunset. I'm not entirely sure, but it looked like it might have been Sunset Boulevard, what we saw. But anyway, so they have to spell it out, and they basically have 10 minutes to spell up to 6 ingredients. But then all of them have to use those ingredients, basically. So whatever team you're on, that team, you know, gives the ingredients. And then basically from that, they all have to then take those ingredients and make a dish. But the good thing is he gave them a bonus and allowed them to have 1 minute to go into the store and then basically pick something to make their dish special.
I really hope that store was empty when they did that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. I'm pretty sure it was. But of course, you know, drama ensues. Everybody's trying to get carts, and they're going on. They're trying to spell beets with no S.
Yes, give it up for
No, they had an S for beets, but then they wanted to make squash.
Right. So
and
they
then
said
they needed 2 S's for squash.
Right.
So they're like, fine.
Right.
Beet.
Right. But then it didn't count because it's still not the word.
Well, they got beet. So they got 1.
Did they still count it though?
Yeah, they counted it. They could only have 1.
But they could only use 1 beet.
Yeah, because Christina said, like, sure, you can do that. You only get 1 beet. Though.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible. That's terrible. But I thought it was hilarious. Everybody's running around. There was one that was like already like almost into the street in S that they didn't see. It was crazy.
Well, I liked Eddie because he was just riding the carts.
Yeah,
around.
exactly. Yeah, he was having a good time, as he always does. I feel like he always tries to make light of all this, you know, situations and, you know, make his twist and make it fun. So they get all these cards. Like I said, then they each go and they get their special ingredient, and then now they go back and then basically now they have to cook those dishes and then present it to Chef Ramsay, and they're going to get points for each dish. So,
and a little early smack talk about Amanda's choice of picking tomatoes. Like, you have all these choices, and they talk a little smack on that.
Right. What? Yeah, but it's still it worked for her. Though.
Yeah, it did.
It worked for her. I do like because. Of course, for those of you that know, I am a poet outside of AfterBuzz, and I actually have a poem about how much I love bacon. And my girl Ariel starts talking about bacon and says it makes everything better. And the funny thing is, the last line of the poem that I have says bacon makes everything better. So that for me was a moment. I got a little teary-eyed. Just saying, you know.
Well,
so
bacon does make everything better.
Right, it does make everything. I'm telling you.
You add bacon and macaroni and cheese, all of a sudden it's like a 5-star macaroni and cheese.
Yes, people. I'm telling you, bacon makes everything better.
Can we hear more of this poem, please?
We don't have enough time for it.
Oh.
Maybe next time. I'll open the show with a poem. I'll open the show with a few lines of the poem.
I will attest though, as Ariel said that though, I looked back over Lem and you saw the one tear just going right down that cheek.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
Cry, baby.
I'm telling you.
Show up next to you?
Absolutely. I'm telling you. It was amazing. So we see the blue team go up first, and so Mr. Chad goes up, brings up his dish, and he gets 3 points, right? Eddie goes up, gets 4 points. Frank's get 3 points. Jared gets 3 points. Amanda gets 4 points. And then Joe, which surprisingly, because I feel like Joe is, he means well, but he doesn't always deliver. He's very inconsistent. But he gets 5 points.
It seemed like a good theme for, like, everybody seemed to do really good cooking the fish.
Right.
But they seemed like they always had the garnishes.
Right.
For some of them were.
And as you said before, like, they were giving her a hard time about tomatoes, but the blue team, at least, it seemed that the simpler dishes were the ones that got the more points.
Well, I think one thing that people have to realize that I've seen over and over with this is taste is always going to win. The good tasting food over presentation. And I think a lot of times you have these, you know, cooks and chefs that want to impress with how, you know, the presentation is and, oh, it looks amazing or whatever. We use these fancy ingredients or we use this little, you know, special way of cooking, but then it tastes terrible.
Well, yeah, you look at Chad where he said, like, hey, I'm going to use that black rice. And I know it takes a little longer to cook, but it pairs really well with salmon.
Right.
But,
Or how he always talks about Michelin.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But why push your luck on something like
exactly.
that?
No, absolutely. So we get to the red team, and actually, if you look at those scores, that was actually a pretty solid score.
Yeah.
So I was concerned about the red team.
22 points.
Right, exactly. So we have Jackie. Miss Jackie. Of course, she goes up. Yeah, she actually had the lowest score out of everybody. She gets a 2. What did she make? She made she had the salmon.
No. She had the halibut.
Halibut, excuse me.
She cut off part of the halibut because it burned.
Exactly.
And gave him like half a halibut, and she used the excuse of, well, I like to give small portions.
I leave small portions. Like,
That's right.
what are you gonna say? But the thing is, it's like it didn't even like it did look like a dog chewed the end of it. That's the problem.
She didn't make a clean cut.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna cut it off, like cut it off. Don't just break a piece. I'm like, oh, okay, now it's gonna be amazing. Like
maybe like make it into like chop up the halibut. I don't know. Make it look presentable.
More presentable. But she doesn't seem like she has a lot of finesse, so maybe that was very difficult for her in that regard. So she got only 2 points. Ariel comes back though. My girl Ariel comes back and gets 5 points right out the gate, which is amazing. Hassan gets 3 points. Kristen gets 4 points. Danny gets 3 points. Now it's up to Ashley. And in order to tie, she has to get a perfect score.
And I did not think she was going to nail it.
I didn't think she was going to nail it either. I didn't think she was going to nail it. She also is one that seems to be kind of inconsistent. But she got a 5.
Yeah, not only did she get a 5, but because they both tied, she's the one that won it.
She won the entire, exactly. Not only because of the tie, but all the dishes went up. And I thought it was going to be Ariel because he seemed like, he seemed like when he tasted her, he's like, oh my gosh, I think he said it's the best thing she had made or something to that degree. Yeah. And so I'm like, oh, she's got this in the bag. She's going to win it all. But it was actually Ashley that won it. So I thought that was good. She wins it for the red team. And they get to go in stunt planes. Yes. Dude, how fresh is that?
That's awesome. But I just like Hassan saying, like, they usually don't let my people up in planes. Right? And stunt planes. Like, all right.
No, his people. Yeah,
his people.
His people. Right. That was funny. So they go up in stunt planes. Seemed like it was amazing. I don't know. I mean, my stomach, I don't know if I would have been able to handle.
Well, you weren't alone in that feeling.
Yeah. I was just like, I think it would be fun, but then my stomach would really... be hurting afterwards.
Yeah, well, what did Jackie say? That she felt like she birthed a teenager?
Yes, exactly. That's true Jackie fashion.
And it seemed like that victory at least kind of like calmed the tensions between Ashley and Jackie. So I felt like, they seemed to be enjoying each other's company.
For the time being.
Yes.
For the time. They didn't want to die and be mad at each other. That's what she said.
That's right.
Like, I don't want to be mad if he dead.
They want their last words to each other to be...
Exactly. You're terrible or whatever. So the blue team, unfortunately, has left by... Not too bad of a challenge. They had to make sangria.
Like Joe saying, what is it?
Not too bad. You have to peel grape.
Wait, okay,
you know how hard it is to peel a little grape and not ruin it?
And I don't know. I'm sure it's hard, but when you think of all the challenges that they've had or the punishments they've had,
true, but it's still not a good thing to have to do.
No, it's never.
And you don't
a good
get to
thing
drink the sangria afterwards.
You don't think they're drinking a little bit?
Not right afterwards.
They gotta taste it. I'm just saying they do have to taste it.
Yeah, but they can't get drunk.
No, they can't. They can't enjoy the sangria.
No.
You are correct.
But I also felt like at that moment they kind of forced the edit on Joe to make it seem like he was really just angry and mad about everything.
Yeah.
And I felt like they pushed that a little too hard because it didn't seem like it really was that.
No, and I think it was because the punishment wasn't that crazy. You're peeling grapes, like you said, which I'm sure is tedious and hard, but then everything else is just cutting up, fruit. So, but, I mean, not a big deal.
They just probably wanted to try to make it seem that way because he was in the top 3 dishes and he still had to be in this.
Of course. They want to find anything that they could show. I didn't think it was too bad, what have you. So the red teams come back. So now we're into dinner service. And then all the hell starts breaking loose. First thing out the gate, Jackie continues to be a problem. And now she's fighting with Ariel. But it's so minuscule. This is what we were talking about earlier with the whole measuring. It says, she says, what do you use? Oh, I use a cup. This is for the thank you. So she says, oh, I use a cup. She's like, a pint or half pint. She's like, oh, I use a cup. She's like, well, the ingredients say this. And she's like, oh, I use it by sight. And it's like, okay, we're not, cooking Thanksgiving dinner at mom's house or anything like that where you can just do what you want to do. This is a restaurant. And you have to do it for what the recipe says.
Yeah, Gordon Ramsay is not going to give you any points for not using his recipe.
Right. And the thing is, I think she is so into the fact that she wants to do it her way. and she doesn't really want to care about following the rules. I feel like she has an issue with following what people tell her to do or want her to do. Hence, going back to the same issue. Go ahead.
Yeah, but then I think like that. How can you honestly think that you could be a winner then of this whole competition and run BLT Steak? Not with that kind of mindset.
Well, no, not at all. But I think she's still. I want to say she's oblivious to a degree. I think she looks at it as, I don't want to say she doesn't want to win. I don't think she's like sabotaging or anything like that. But I think she, in her mind, the way she runs things, I think she thinks that's her way and it's going to work. And it's obviously not.
Well, and I think I don't think she's looking at it like, oh, like the rest of my team are mad at me because I'm doing this wrong and because I'm not being a leader and because I'm not listening or paying attention. But she's probably looking at it as like, oh, well, they're just jealous of me. So
True. Because I think she's definitely someone that thinks she's better than what she is.
Yeah.
I definitely 100% think that, and we'll get into it with the dinner service.
She's
but
been low, so
exactly.
I don't know why she would still think that.
But then that's the thing. She thinks that's a lot of times. A lot of people that think that if they end up being bad or on a low scale, it's like, oh well, somebody's hating